So it's somewhat embarrassing at times when the path began at 1970 but now looks like this. It indicates, we won't talk about what it indicates. The songbook is 35 years old. I came here just a little too late to see the smile on your beautiful face, your face. Oh, I'd really love to be with you. I'd really love to be with you when you come again. Yes, when you come again. Oh, when you come again. Now I thank you for this lock of your hair. For this closeness, this life with you I share, I'll share. Oh, I really love to love you. I'd really love to love you as you should be loved, as you should be loved, as you should be loved. I felt you loving me through all these years, in laughter and also in the tears, So I sing my songs to you, love. I always will be true, love. Help me love you more. Help me feel your love more. Oh, help me love you more. Help me feel your love more. Help me love you more. Help me feel your love more. Help me love you more. When I had my daughter, my lyricist and accompanist, it used to be, before I moved here in '79, thought, oh my God, she'll never sing again. My daughter's Down syndrome. She's 25, actually, just last week. And he thought what to do. So he wrote me a song called Raine Eastman-Gannett's song. So as I was so curious and so sucked in by it, it would take me a good 2 or 3 months to learn it anyway. So I came out of I Don't Sing Anymore with this song. It's very hard when a surprise hits you to go on being who you are. A surprise engulfs you. the stars and their wings, till the wind brought to my lips the clear song of the name of Mayfair. My destination lies in the dust, within the dust, and far behind is yesterday of the stars and their wings, till the wind brought to my lips the clear song of the name of Mayfair. Imagine a dozen breakdowns trying to sing it in the first place. It was very hard to get through and become a singer again. So while we're on rainy songs, sing one Dani used to love.
I still like it.
She's forgotten about this. It was the last thing that I was looking for, right here, right now. But in a moment I could feel so much love for you. Somehow it was a gift from God, I know, and with His grace it will grow. Your hair gleaming, blowing in the wind. Your sadra moves in silken slow motion. I was drawn, unable to move away, unable to move away. It was the last thing that I was looking for, right here, right now. But in a moment I could feel so much love for you. Somehow it was a gift from God, I know, and with His grace it will grow, and with blessings I will know. If I'm to be alone, with you alone, with love, Mayfair, I love you so. Your walk majestic, like that of a king. Your movements subtle, exquisite, sublime. Your gestures silent, graceful, or meaningful. I was drawn, unable to move away, unable to move away. always very self-conscious and very sad. When I first came to Baba, it took years for Irish to say, sing louder, do something more cheerful, blah, blah, blah. So, off the famous Raine ones, onto the famous Mira ones. In 1977, I thought, I wonder why nobody had ever written songs about Mira, not knowing a lot of the American work, and there was one apparently, but I didn't know about it. And I have this habit, there's tissues here, I have this habit of writing in my sleep in this key. I don't know why, maybe it's... I don't know, maybe it's just that beautiful, dreamy key, who knows? It was such a good idea he had, whoever it was. And so this I wrote in my sleep. In those days I didn't know to wake yourself up and pop them down, but I remembered most of it the next day. How does it go? What is it called? It's hard when you've got 1,000 songs. It gets harder and harder. It's cool. Where's the other one?
Look on your CD.
I would have my glasses on. It's called The Dream, right? So I did have the courage, amongst all the in the old days of everyone trying to get Mira time. It was tough when us Aussies would come along with Francis every January and everyone would realise we existed, period. So, I'm just trying to fill in time while I'm finding the song. Oh, there it is, okay. I don't really need the words, of course, but I will take them out in case. So we'll go into a little of the Mira collection. And it turned out to be a tone poem and all sorts of things, in the end. My heart wept for Mira. I saw her one night sitting before me with tears flowing down her cheeks. I cried as I sang to her there in my dream, as we both sat there facing each other. Then I went on dreaming that with her precious tears we made gardens from deserts and grew flowers wherever they fell. Then Maker came into the garden, so beautiful. He walked through the flowers, touching each one, until he was standing beside sweet Mira, where he reached out to her gently, and they faded from sight together, hand in hand, forever together. May heaven and may I'm sort of flattering. A lot of people sing my Mira songs, and we won't do the really sad one, I promise. But then it has a great story, just the same. So then I thought, after she'd been gone 20 years or something, it might be a good idea if I try to write a happy one, song about Mira. And if I could ever find it in here. There it is. And that brought up the idea, actually, that I should stick my neck out to have my head chopped off and make a Mira CD. And it didn't turn out with everybody wanting to chop my head off anyway. You know, I did spend so much time with Mira. She told me everything I had to do. I was not to cut my hair. I had to wear green. I had to sing for the rest of my life. My daughter should not cut her hair. My daughter should live with her family for the rest of her life. And dozens of things. One of the very nice things was this guitar. And I had this clapped out old guitar of May Lundquist, an Australian Baba lover that met Baba many times. And Ted came onto the veranda one day with this gorgeous mini Spanish guitar. And then Mira, of course, asked me to sing the Dawn Light Break, so I used his guitar. And she said, "Why don't you just buy a guitar like that?" And I said, "Mira, I can't buy a guitar like that. You know, I'm using my holiday pay to get here and whatever. I can't buy a guitar like that." And anyway, she did this very strange thing. She reached behind the couch, she reached for this envelope and handed me this envelope and said, "Here, buy yourself a guitar. And with the change, buy Franny a blanket, a quilted blanket. And get some dresses made for her. I don't like her in these tomboy clothes." So when I got back to the Pilgrim Centre, I just thought, well, it's the beginning, you know, it's probably 1,000 rupees or something, and it's the beginning. But of all things, when I opened the packet, and I don't know if this is how it began, there were thousands of rupees in there. Unbelievable amount of money in there, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to be the wrong envelope, you know? What is she giving me? So when I went back the next time, I just sealed it up and took it back and said, "You're giving me the wrong envelope." She said, "No, I know which envelope I gave you. I know everything that's behind here." And when I got back to America, I had Freddie's dresses made. They're still in the wardrobe. And the colours had to be approved and stuff. And when I got back to America, Ron Bluestein, anyone remember Ron Bluestein, Ron Greenstein, Ron Rubenstein? Red, blue and green. Well, Bluestein was moving away and had to sell this huge Baba painting, gorgeous Baba painting. He said, "Raine, you know everyone all over the world, and I need you to come out here, look at it, and sell it for me." And I just moved back after a year in India with a 3-month break to America and just remarried and stuff. And I go out to his house, and what is it? It is this huge 7-foot-high painting by Philosophe of one of the paintings that was mastered in the end, that's at Mirabad. Baba sitting on this chair, hennaed hair flowing, and scrawled in graffiti across the bottom is, "I gave you all I had to give, a love that never dies." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't sell that, I have to have that." And so I said, "Well, it's a lot of money." And I said, "Well, I don't care what it is, I'll just pay it off, okay, I have to have that." So it's sold, okay? You don't happen to have a guitar too, do you? And he said, "Yes, I actually have a very expensive Yamaha hardtop guitar to sell as well." And I said, "Well, I'll have that too." He said, "You have no idea what you're talking about here. I'm talking about a Yamaha hardtop, you know." And so I just pulled it out of my purse and I said, "Well, actually, Mira gave me money for the guitar. It's here." He said, "She touched it?" I said, "Yes, actually, she touched it. She filled the envelope up and here's the envelope." And he said, "You can have it all, but that which is in the envelope." So Mira bought me a guitar, a very good guitar. And I still have the painting. So anyway, my relationship with Mira developed. When Mira died, of course, we all just thought, what now? You know, what are we going to do without Mira? How will we go on? And I had written this song to help myself go on somehow. "Hi, sweetheart, do you have your peachy boo with you?" Ah, there he is. Hello. Hello, I'm Raine, Auntie. You don't know me yet. Look at that. How cute. Oh, my goodness. A proud grandma, yeah. Oh, my goodness. And so anyway, when Mira died, I'd written this song, and my very academic, very stern Aries husband said, "You're not going to sing that, are you? To people? You can't sing that to people." And I said, "Oh, all right." Then he said, no, that's not fair to sing that to people. You know, you can't go around singing that to people. And Georgiana had asked me down, and I came down and I started singing it, just practicing it to myself. And I finished the whole song, and I thought, I wonder where she is. And I heard a strange noise inside the wardrobe, and she had collapsed sobbing in the wardrobe and said, I said, oh, I can't sing it. She said, you're going to do that today? I said, no, I can't sing it. I've been forbidden to sing it. Oh, forget about him. He's just a man. You've got to sing it. Do I even know it? Do I even know it? And so that was another very sad song when Mera died. And I'm just feeling a little, trying to get off the sad songs here and move on in time to the happier songs.
What you're going to sing?
Do you think I should?
Yes, you can't go like that. We won't let you leave till we hear it.
And what's the title of that song?
There's several of them. I suppose I just saw another one.
No, the one you were referring to.
Mera, I Miss You. It's called.
Let's have it then.
You're going to sing that.
I just got to find the opening chord. When you know 1,000 songs, you've got to find the first word of the poem or the first word of the chapter. And it's not here. Okay. So I suppose it starts over here. This is for all of us. Mera. Is that it? No. Mera, purest Mera, always Mera, I miss you. Mera, purest Mera, always Mera, we miss you. It's 4:30, it's time for Mera's tea, it's time for love stories of Dali Mayhew. From his Mera, yours Mera, Baba's Mera, we miss you. She wears the rings, my friend Cindy sings. She is the queen, loveliest yet seen. Mera, yours Mera, Baba's Mera, we miss you. Now, who will care about my long red hair, if my smile is seen, or if I'm wearing green? Mera, yours Mera, Baba's Mera, we miss you. Selfishly I cry for one last wave goodbye and one last whispered sigh of I love you. From our Mera, purest Mera, Baba's Mera, we miss you. So I can't go on like this. We have to have a happy song on the CD, and so out of that came this song. Every detail of your face, every moment of your grace, the strength and beauty of your walk, she told us every detail. We sat with her and did not know that any moment she would go.
Vicky may be wondering, who the heck is this woman? You might just explain.
A simple way to explain it that I explain to people who buy it, this CD actually does sell out in the world a bit, it gets played on KPFA occasionally, is that if we were thinking in our Western terms, Baba was the spiritual master, or the guru, and Mira was the head of the nuns, the head of the celibate women who were on the women's side. And in every great manifestation of an avatar, there's always the important part, those who love him as he should be loved, the women. And Mira was she who loved Baba as he should be loved. I don't need those words. And so from the same album, because now I'm starting thinking albums, I used to just think historically now. I'm no guitarist. Not like our dad. I lost my accompanist when I left Australia, and also when he married someone else, she wanted to play for me. So I had to just pick this thing up overnight and play everything he had played. He's this fabulous composer and classical guitarist. So I just putz about and it somehow comes out like a guitar. The Maggots play a great version of this. I'm not so stupid, so a lot faster. That leads me into thinking about the other CD at the same time. Some of my songs double up on CDs because there's no way to separate Francis out of my work. But they're Raine songs. Now we'll move into Francis. And of course, this song, the first song I learned for him was Eileen. It was Chris Gray playing guitar, had a 12-string guitar, and it took him half an hour to tune up, and I really collapsed on stage out of fright and fear because I was so nervous. But one of the songs that I loved that Francis wrote, and he thought was awfully old-fashioned, in fact, most of the songs I liked, he thought were awfully old-fashioned. Charles now sings, I believe, a much better version than me, so Ron Greenstein tells me. On the Francis CD, I've done it just a cappella, but on the Nera CD, Sam Saunders plays classical Spanish guitar on it to just, oh gosh. How I work with him is I either, when I'm in Australia, we just sit down for a day and we do everything, and I come back, or if I've done it here and I've messed it up, I send him a whack and he puts the CD on and he sends it back. So these days, because that wife that didn't like me has vanished, he works with me again. So he's gorgeous. Oh, should I meet you walking the long road, oh my beloved maiden, I would spread flowers before you on the road, oh my beloved maiden. The road would be as the springtime for you, beloved maiden, and I would dance there beside you and sing your praises, beloved maiden. Ah, me, you do not come walking along the road. No, should I hear you knocking on my door, oh my beloved maiden, in the night hear you knocking on my door, oh my beloved maiden, then I would rise quickly, crying your dear name, your lovely name, maiden. So quickly rise like a leaping flame. I fling open my door, maiden. But me, you do not knock upon my door. But me, you do not knock on my door.
Raine, did you have to go on like breaks in your lineup? What do I
So while we're on the Baba Me, and I'm looking for this other song, the Me, when I, Francis told me I had to go and get a degree in voice and God knows what, the was really hard for me to work out how to sing this business, and it brings to mind another lovely little short song, that if I sing this song in Australia, all I have to do is play the first chord and everyone sighs the What is the song over here? Oh, there it is. And that has a funny Mary story, the one Dinah's asked for. But all I have to do in Australia is this, and those who are older than Baba will know about this song. very simple little song based on a Red Belly song. Francis ended up going in 32 when he came here to Fairfax to investigate Rabia Martin to see if she really had found an avatar for Baron von Frankenberg. When he left Marine after he'd done his... actually, Sam Lewis was his Calif. He was under Sam Lewis. And he ordered him to build this brick road over to Inayat Khan's Rock from the house. And that's what he did for the 6 months and wrote poetry. He also invented, I suppose you know, Sam Lewis invented universal dancing at that time. And Francis was part of that beginning, which now, of course, is done everywhere, even in the Baba world these days, you notice, with Paul Williams. And anyway, Francis had to get back by a certain date because Rabia Martin was dying of throat cancer, and he gets a message that the Baron is very sick and has throat cancer. And he has to somehow hop a fast freight ship, because he had no money, back to the Baron to tell him, hey, yes, maybe I was the avatar. And so he shot down to Louisiana and got on a freight ship there and somehow got through some canal and got back to Sydney to see the Baron before he passed. The Baron couldn't accept that Baba was the avatar, but he read in the discourses and all the books he found and he heard this from Rabia Martin. And any questions about Francis, please feel free to ask, but I love this little song. When I first entered this street, which is called Love Street, I expected that love would be easy to meet. Now I have wandered for many lifetimes, it seems. And I wonder if love's tales are a dreamer's dream. Softly I call you by his dear name. Softly I call you by his dear name. And if the stars on high fall from their place and die, my heart will light the night with its pure flame. Still I wander about in this street called Love Street. Ceaselessly roving up and down, hoping to meet. Love, the beautiful one for whom lifetimes it seems. I have been searching for a dreaming breeze. Softly I call him by his dear name. Softly I call him by his dear name. And if the stars on night fall from their place and die, my heart will light the night with its pure flame. Francis was the Avatar's court poet. How did it happen that an Australian painter and pianist became the Avatar's court poet? It's an amazing story, isn't it? Those sort of songs took a real long time to have the courage to sing because they had things like, my heart will light the sky. You know, I just felt awful. I did become the singer as he asked, but I didn't feel like I had a light in my heart or any other thing. Which was also the reason I never sang Oh Moon forever until Bao sort of said, you have to sing it, because, you know, I didn't feel like I was shining. I didn't feel any of that. I was sad and I was self-conscious, and it took a long time to have the courage to project a song like My Heart Will Light the Night with Its Pure Flame.
Are you going to sing over?
Of course. When we get out of the Francis department. Oh, where am I? This song goes along with all the girls, all the American girls on Mayor's Porch. This is a great, fun story. So all the girls on Mayor's Porch wondered who us Aussies were, and what how preposterous that we sort of nudged in with our Francis in our pocket, you know. But anyway, Mayor and I grew to have a wonderful relationship. She organised one of my better divorces. She organised one. She was really fun with our lives. She was very realistic. You know, all the girls, if you haven't met her, he'll tell you she was very down to earth, you know. Get rid of him now was the actual phrase. And he's still a Baba lover, so I'm not mentioning his name. But it wasn't Jack, it was another one. I'm not promiscuous, I marry Baba lovers. Because Mara was always involved. So anyway, Mara would always ask me to sing this song, the Dawn Light Breaks. And finally, one day, someone tried to circumvent, here comes that jolly woman, she's going to sing that darn sad song again, stop it, you know? So she did, she circumvented it and I sang something else and I got pulled into the lounge room and hauled over to Cole's quick smart. Whenever you come to my porch, you sing that song. Don't listen to any of them, you sing that song. Even if you sing something else, make sure this song is sung. So she loved this song. And it's a complicated concept, it was always interesting to me that this song is, you know, we had to have read for a long time to internalise this concept. And of course it's to 5/8 of my genes, the tune that belongs to 5/8 of my genes. The dawn light breaks against my grief of stubborn days. The world awaits each thing to sing your praise, and I alone stir not as though it still were night, as a dull stone, though sunshine gives no light. May all things reflect your face so fair. Each that sees you of yourself are aware. But though I see your winning beauty everywhere, unless you give me love, what is all this to me? The dawn light seems up from the wells of lovers' eyes, and gladness springs in wild new melodies, and I alone remain unmoved by all around, as a dull stone, though struck, gives out no sound. May all forms your lovely image bear, and all voices your perfect truth declare. But though I see your winning beauty everywhere, unless you give me love, what is all this to me? The dawn light blooms within each heart, and nightingales their songs resume, which tell love's sweet sad tales, and I alone, hidden in darkest night, remain as a dull stone, though broken, knows no pain. May all things reflect your beauty, That then, of course, leads to my favourite CD. Dinah has her favourite CD. Am I allowed to have my favourite CD? It was my favourite because it began the process of not planning them. It began the process of making the CDs when I went to Australia with Sam and coming back and trying to see what was next, what would happen next. And this CD, I swear, anyone that's heard this CD, it seems improbable to think, happened in 4 weeks, and there it is. And this CD gets airplay too for some reason. Well, with this CD, I actually combined Raine and Rani. I made a fusion CD with percussion, Eastern percussion, and I ended up with 8 Sorts of Lovers, which is out of the East-West Gathering, a phenomenally, beautifully written, very unusual book. I'm sorry I'm doing it about the CDs, but it's the newest way I bring up the computer grid. This book, actually, I've got to, now that these 12 are done, I can do the other 30 songs. There's 30 songs in this book, and it's about being with Meher Baba at Guru Prasad for the East-West Gathering. And today we have somebody here that was there. And this book is about what he might have gone through going there to the East-West Gathering. And Francis, though, wrote it because it was in Guru Prasad, as the king and the court and the subjects. And so it's written in that sense. Now, Francis had a theory about the troubadours, the 12th century, and how the troubadours actually spread Sufism around the world. The troubadours had to come into their court with Eleanor Aquitaine, of course, and all the others, with a new thing every year to get tenured in the winter so they didn't die of pneumonia out there. And one of the things they used to do was go down to near the Silk Road in Spain and come back with unusual instruments, unusual tunes, and of course, Sufi concepts. So they, the opposite to us Baba lovers who fall in love all the time, especially on pilgrimage, they turned lover beloved songs into personal love songs. Because the way they kept their tenure was to have the queen feeling in love. And a lot of them were eunuchs and so on, to get into the court, that they had to produce this personal love feeling for her to make her happy so she didn't pick on the king. So the troubadours were bringing all these Sufi concepts back into France. So this book, in actual fact, does fall in with that theory of his. And this CD, I made it totally as if we were a band of troubadours that behold the king, seated on a throne of hearts, his neck garlanded with kisses, listening to our song, as if they'd presented a 3/4 of an hour program to him of the 8 sorts of lovers of God. And I came together so fast, it was obviously what was next. One of the lovers, the desirers. I'm start at the start. Now, there are 8 sorts of lovers. The desirers, the workers, the designers, the builders, the simple praisers, the quiet dwellers, the proclaimers, and the servers. And then there's a song for each type and a little intro. And this is the intro of the desirers. The desirers are the general populace of the city of love. They live in the suburbs of peace. They feel safe. They cheer when the king rides through the streets and his beauty is a courser along the veins of their sides. But their surrender to his embrace, should he offer it, would be amidst the clamour of alarm bells in their breast. And they do no work. Dinah dislikes the desires. Sorry, first we'll do. And this is their song. Oh man, who are you, singing songs at night, outside my window? and you to follow. If you love me, do not bring me sorrow, but ask my Father for my hand tomorrow. Oh man, who are you, lighting up my room with your bright face, wondrous as some golden lily bloom, sculptured in grace. If you love me, do not bring me sorrow, but ask my Father for my hand tomorrow. Oh man, who are you, having won my kiss, and now would leave me, saying that the dawn is here? Is this the way to greet me? If you love me, do not bring me sorrow, but ask my Father for my hand tomorrow. They're all gorgeous. I won't do too many of them because they're on my favourite CD. But it has, you know, The Moon Was Low. Francis with the Eastman's Gathering actually just put a lot of them to known tunes because he was stuck there in India and had to write, at one point, he had to write a song a night, at another point, this is during writing speeches and everything, another point he had to write a ghazal a night. So he was always up till 4 and then he had to be up by 5. But other people, of course, write these wonderful tunes to these things too. And of course, Oh Man, there's that version, and then there's Oh Man, who are you singing songs at night outside my window, bidding me leave all in shameless flight, and you to follow. If you love me, and you not bring me sorrow, but ask my Father for my hand tomorrow. That's Robert Rouse's version, and then there's, of course, on Hammers in the Sun, Oh man, who are you singing songs at night outside my window, by Bob Welch, the jazz composer. So other versions of these, slowly, I think there's like probably, I don't know, 20 versions of some of the ghazals, for example. But I've liked this version and put it on the CD in preferences to Francis's. Francis's is, and it'll be on my Blues and Gospel Ghazal CD when it's finished in 15 years. But it goes, Israel was in misery, and Lord Moses broke Egypt's yoke. He did no more than you for me, when you lay here in kindness spoke. Here you are, my soul's delight, my water brooks and pastures evergreen. I feed among your lilies through the night, until the rosy dawn is seen. So that was Francis's version, which I only worked out when I joined the Open and Faith Gospel Choir, that that's what it would be. But on the CD I had to use David Markey's version because there was no African American gospel in the 12th century. So I used David's version. The quiet dwellers. The quiet dwellers are the gentlest of all the lovers. They live in a secluded part of the city in fine houses amidst gardens. I wonder who they are. The quiet dwellers are. Okay. They rest indoors during the day and at night wander alone in the gardens, which are lit perpetually by a harvest moon. They think of no one or nothing but the king, and they feel for him a selfless ardency coupled with eternal gratitude. When Israel was in misery, Lord Moses broke Egypt's yoke. He did no more than you for me when you made her in kindness spoke. May you are my soul's delight, my water brooks and pastures evergreen. I feed among your lilies through the night until the dawn, your rosy dawn is seen. When Abraham in fire was thrown, and the Master gave him a child, his love was no more than you shown. May in keeping me from harm, the only sound heard through the night is that of waters gentle murmuring clean in calm melodies to my delight. It praises your beauty and truth serene. When Francis wrote the East West Gallery, amongst the 8 sorts of lovers was a glorious eternal ancient one. It's just one of the sorts of lovers. When Baba heard that song, he said, "This is a true arty." And so that's how come it came to be the Western arty, and eventually, because of the American arty, got renamed the Australian arty. And of course, on the CD, I had to move it out of order. You couldn't put it as the second last song, as it really is, and put it last. It's probably the best version of the Australian arty I've ever had the privilege of singing. So then we move on to the ghazals. You know, of course, I will eventually do a 500 tracks CD of the ghazals of Francis Brabazon, but the one that comes to mind, just to put in an example of the ghazals. The ghazals in Dust I Sing, for anyone that does not know this book, because it's very hard to procure. They're even like $25 on Amazon these days, because I've been collecting it for years and nudged the price up. Francis trying to perfect an order. He was ordered to find a form for English spoken language ghazal. And it was extremely difficult, and it took a long, long time, and there's lots of stories about it in the preface of the book, so I won't go on about it too much. But I thought, seeing as I do the gloomiest one I do, and I was shocked to find this in here, actually. I'd actually never heard Francis go through a lot of doubts about Baba. You know, when he came back from India, of course, he was absolutely the shell of a man. He was not alive, essentially. And he has lots of ghazals. I looked into the Mirror today, West, which was complicated. Then he put us in another play called The Moon. And then the following year, 71, he wrote us an entire play, 30 scenes, 22 scenes, 25 scenes, or something like 30 songs in it. So we could not be spaced out anymore. We had to really focus, and it was very complicated. It was called Being is Dying by Loving, and somehow or other I just finished. When I say I finish these things, I sort of try to finish them for posterity, because all these tunes of Francis's are in my head, and I just want to get them down before I get dead, you know. I don't want them to vanish, or their context. So that's more of where I'm at right now. Now I'm old. But anyway, my daughter, or a 25-year-old Down syndrome woman, this is her favourite song. accept my crop of grief, and it flourishes each day, putting on new leaves. Stay by my side, stay by my side. These leaves are not green, they are bright tongues of fire. Glorify the name of my heart's desire. Stay by my side, stay by my side. It's no easy matter for a man to become a child. One must be a hero, not to fight back when reviled. Stay by my side, stay by my side. So small the feet, so long the road to travel, so weak the fingers, so tight the knots to unravel. Stay by my side, stay by my side. No wonder my crop of grief flourishes. This book is amazing, and Shahriar there, where is he? He will tell you that one night, we had a night where he spoke Rumi and Hafez, and I think of either the opposite by Francis or something complementary by Francis. There's a lot of Rumi and Hafez tidbits in here that were definitely translated by Baba, because Francis is a shocking linguist, absolutely no skills in languages whatsoever. And we find things like, my throat has become a snuff candle smoke, which I think is verbatim Hafez, and so on. So while teaching him the ghazal, he gave him a lot of couplets in here. It also has an answer to Rumi, the Men of God, is in here, our version, and it has an answer to Kabir, about, Kabir dressed up as a bride at the end of his life and wrote all of his poems to his husband dressed as a bride in a sari, and we have, there will come a day when I shall go forth to in love and trust as a bride to my Lord. There's an answer to Kabir in here. There's also a wonderful answer to the famous poet Rafferty. And when Francis was dying, he had Alzheimer's. And right at the end of Alzheimer's life, some of the strands don't have all the gunk in them, and there's a cognizant moment. And I used to go on Saturdays and read to him, and I'm saying to myself and ignoring him, he's just laying there, I'm really dying, essentially. And this is when I went back to Australia in 1933, the year before he died, and I'm thinking, what am I going to read to him? And then I must have muttered, what am I going to read to him? And he very quickly said, Doran, mark page. So I knew that meant Van Doren's world poetry. So I pulled it out, and there was a mark page. And the mark page said, I am Rafferty the poet, full of hope and love, with eyes that have no light, with gentleness that has no misery. Going west on my pilgrimage, by the light of my heart, feeble and tired to the end of my road. Behold me now, my face to the wall, a playing music to empty pockets. And here we find Ghazal 144, now I am also with my face to the wall, Rafferty, playing music unto empty pockets. Beautiful ghazal, I won't go into it. But it's a great, great book, and somebody will come along with a heap of money and republish it, because we can't get hold of it now due to a series of circumstances, which of course are always Baba's will, which of course then becomes the mantra, whatever happens is for our highest good, because he said so. This is a funny one. So we're on a ship. We have a captain of the ship, of course. We all know who that is. His face is everywhere. And we have a first mate to the ship, and that's Erich. We have a bosun mumbling, and that's Padri. We have a purser counting cricket scores, and that's Pendu. We have a crew, and that's all of the rest of the Mandali, and they throw messages into the sea for us. And we, singly and in pairs, come up to the surface and read the messages. Ship is sinking, but no one can tell the captain. Ship is sinking, but no one can tell the captain. He has mate writes letters, patching up family wars. The bosun mumbles, the purser recounts cricket scores. The bosun mumbles, the purser recounts cricket scores. Cricket scores. The crew tie flags to life, boys, chuck them into the waves. The crew tie flags to life, boys, chuck them into the waves. The flags bear messages such as God is love and he saves. God is love and he saves. Fish singly and in pairs come up to the surface. Fish singly and in pairs come up to the surface. Read and form into circles on the waves. Read and form into circles on the waves. Scarf of lace on the waves. Scarf of lace. Why do men never sign up for long sea voyages? Why do men never sign up for long sea voyages? Is not God in small houses and picture book pages? Is not God in small houses and picture book pages? I am by nature a landsman, a lover of quiet streams. But somehow or other, sea and ships, oh Lord, got woven into my dreams. Now this ship is sinking, and strangely it seems no disaster. Strangely it seems no disaster. Men also die in houses. Why not at sea with the master? Why not at sea